Companies Act, Section 159, Penalty for default of certain provisions. Section 159 of the Companies Act establishes penalties for individuals or directors of a company who fail to comply with specific statutory provisions related to the appointment, qualifications, and disclosures concerning directors. These provisions include Section 152, Section 155, and Section 156, each of which mandates specific obligations for directors and individuals involved in corporate governance. The purpose of this section is to ensure accountability and impose financial penalties on individuals or directors who fail to meet their obligations. It also introduces escalating penalties for continued non-compliance, reinforcing the importance of adherence to statutory provisions. 1. Applicability of penalty under Section 159. Section 159 applies when an individual or a director of a company fails to comply with the requirements of Sections 152, 155, and 156 of the Companies Act. A. Provisions that must be complied with. The penalties under this section apply to defaults in the following provisions. Section 152 deals with the appointment of directors, requiring compliance with statutory guidelines regarding how directors should be appointed, their eligibility, and the process for their selection. Section 155 prohibits an individual from holding more than one director identification number, DIN. This ensures transparency in corporate governance and prevents misuse of multiple identities. Section 156 mandates that every director must inform the company of their DIN within the prescribed time frame, allowing proper records to be maintained by the company. Failure to comply with any of these provisions triggers the penalties outlined in Section 159. 2. Penalty structure for default under Section 159. A. Primary penalty for initial default. If any individual or director of a company fails to comply with any of the provisions of Sections 152, 155, or 156, that individual or director shall be liable to a financial penalty of up to 50,000 rupees. This penalty applies as a one-time fine for the initial failure to adhere to these statutory obligations. B. Additional penalty for continuing default. If the default continues beyond the initial violation, the individual or director will be subject to a further penalty of 500 rupee per day for each day that the default remains unrectified. This additional fine is imposed from the day following the first day of default, ensuring that companies and directors address compliance failures promptly. 3. Purpose and rationale for Section 159. The penalty provisions under Section 159 serve several key objectives. A. Ensuring compliance with director-related provisions. Section 152, 155, and 156 are crucial for maintaining transparency and accountability in corporate governance. The penalties ensure that directors and individuals comply with appointment rules, DIN requirements, and disclosure obligations. B. Deterrence against violations. The imposition of financial penalties discourages intentional non-compliance and promotes adherence to statutory obligations. The provision ensures that directors and individuals do not ignore their legal responsibilities under the Act. C. Encouraging timely rectification of defaults. The additional penalty for continuing default motivates companies and directors to rectify non-compliance at the earliest possible time. If the violation is not corrected, the daily fine accumulates, increasing financial liability for the responsible individuals. 4. Key takeaways from Section 159. A. Who can be penalized? Any individual or any director of a company who fails to comply with Sections 152, 155, or 156. B. What is the penalty? Initial default, a fine of up to 50,000 rupees. Continuing default, an additional fine of 500 rupee per day after the first day of default. C. How can the default be avoided? Directors must ensure compliance with the provisions of sections 152, 155, and 156. Companies should maintain proper records and ensure that directors follow the legal requirements. For more details, contact us.